Purchaser education plan. That's basically how you're gonna educate your consumers, your customers, like because the state of Illinois uh, wants, and there's some validity there, wants to make sure that a dispensary does not just dole off weed willy nilly and just expect customers to know what to do with it. Just because it's legal doesn't mean that everybody knows how to smoke weed, that everybody knows the dangers of smoking weed or the responsibility that smoking weed entails, right? So basically the purchaser education plan is being like, hey man, don't eat a whole brownie, cut up in little pieces, like stuff like that. Don't smoke weed and drive a motor, any motorized vehicle or vessel or anything like that. Work don't You can't smoke weed here, like in public spaces you shouldn't smoke weed, like letting customers know what they can and can't do with weed in Illinois. And how are you gonna do that? That's that exhibit. How do you propose to educate your customers? That was an exhibit that Hall of Fame got 4 points out of 4 points. And then we have Exhibit F, the business plan. That's these have page limits also. I won't even talk about the other page limits, but there was page limits to those. For the business plan, there was 30 pages. That's the page limit. You can't go over 30 minutes. And the business plan is a business plan. What are you gonna? How are you gonna run your business? What's your deal? What's your goal? How much profit do you expect to make the first couple years? What's your inventory gonna look like? You know, what are your projections? How are you gonna compete? What are you? Are you gonna expand? What's the end game? How are you gonna make yourself different, right? That's your business plan. For the business plan, we got 14 out of 16 points. Hall of Fame did. So there we go. Business plan. Exhibit G, recall, quarantine, and destruction plan. I have a lot of issues with this one, and it's something dear to my heart because this has a lot to do with to me. It's an environmental justice issue. It's a climate issue here. This is all about sustainability in 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 the way we deal with garbage, right? In the way we deal with the garbage that humans produce, right? So here we have to talk about, it's a 10-page exhibit, and here you provide a plan that describes the recall practices, quarantine practice, and destruction practices for the proposed dispensing organization. Now that sounds crazy, right? Well, it's crazy. It is, because it is. I'll use crazy pretty usually. I use it a lot because I got a history of a little mental health illness. So not a little, got bipolar. So since 2003 ish, that was when I was first diagnosed with bipolar. So even throughout this process, I'm trying to make sure I don't lose my shit, right? Because I know a lot of people out there worry about me, and I worry about myself too. I need to take care of myself, so I'm trying to do that. But I say that because I use crazy a lot, because I feel like, hey man, if I'm crazy, I can use crazy. All right. So, anyways, that quarantine plan is wild, because basically you can't in the legal cannabis space. I think it's pretty much a non-starter to say that you want to recycle cannabis packaging, or that you want to repurpose any cannabis, anything that has had cannabis in it, or that you want to give away older cannabis or anything like that because you don't want to waste it. No, here in cannabis, America, legalized cannabis in America and in Illinois, the practice is everything's got that has had cannabis in it. You need to figure out a way to basically destroy it. And destroying it right now isn't very sustainable. So So that's what that one is, Exhibit G. And I could go further into that in later videos, but yeah, that's Exhibit G. It's crazy. Uh, 12 of 16 points Hall of Fame received, and a lot of that is probably because I was trying to push as much as I could, push back at a lot of the requirements within that. Okay, so yeah, so that's what you call quarantine. And then we got the security plan, Exhibit H. That one's a beast. Exhibit H was a page limit of 50, not including a copy of a contract with a licensed private security contractor. Now you're gonna say, Carlos, what do you know about security? You've never been you've never been in the military or in the police or anything like that. I got close to the police. I pulled out because I didn't want to lie any further to the police because they're about to ask me about my history, my mental history, and I wasn't about to be like, oh, I got bipolar. At that point, I didn't feel comfortable with that, with being like, hey, everybody, I got bipolar. Let me be a police. So I didn't do it. I pulled out. I pulled out of the police academy, but I didn't get far enough to know much about security either, though. So what did we do as a team? Well, we found security experts. Actually, we found 5 former lead. Well, let me think. One. We have 4, about 4 of them. I might miss one, but we have about 4 veterans on the team. 2 of them are, I would consider, security experts because they worked in the VA security. Well, they put it like this: they're security experts. So we got 4 veterans, all right, on the team. Some of it was really purposeful, but some of it was not. It's just like there's 6 degrees of separation on this team. I didn't know all the members personally before we joined up, but I knew somebody that knew them, and that's how we got them on the squad, really. So that's what we did. We found a security expert, and he in combination with other team members, we came up with a security plan. And in this security plan, you got to provide a lot of information. You got to make sure you can secure the dispensary. You got to make sure that people feel safe in your dispensary, and you got to make sure that you have minimal leakage of cannabis products, which means that you got to be able to make sure people don't steal your weed, that your employees don't steal your weed, that you gotta make sure that having a dispensary in the neighborhood isn't a detriment to that neighborhood. How are you gonna do that? So there's a lot that goes into that document. And yeah, we got 41 points out of 48 points for that. That was dope. That's a victory in my eyes, and that's why that's one of the main reasons. Bless you. That's one of the main reasons why we got this far with our points, is that we killed it on that security plan. So shout out to my man who helped a lot with that, who focused with me and a couple others to rock that out. I'll get into it further later, but some people, I don't feel comfortable giving out names right now because at the end of the day we don't have a dispensary. So and there's still stigma in America about cannabis. So some people, if we release names, if people know who we are, this and that, they might lose their jobs. So I'm not gonna go there. But what I am gonna say is that that was tough. That was a tough part about this process too, is finding people that could take the risk and try to apply for this. People that have the know-how, that have the experience and the business acumen to do a cannabis application were hard to come by, at least in my circles, because in my circles, we work hard for our jobs. We work hard for our careers. So to put your career on the line for something that might get your job it might get you fired and isn't really a sure shot, it's a tough push. So anyways, that's the security plan. Exhibit I, inventory monitoring and record keeping plan. All right, that was a beast too. But that one was basically saying, hey man, how are you gonna keep track of everything you're doing in this dispensary, because the state wants to know everything that you're doing in the dispensary. And that's from seed to sale. Seed to sale means the state wants to know from the beginning, from the birth, from the putting in on the ground, or wherever the water, or wherever you're growing your weed, from wherever it's planted, from where and for some reason not really necessarily the seeds, where the seeds come from, but we could get into that in different videos. But mostly from the planting of the seed to the selling of the weed, you gotta track all of that. So how are you gonna track it? That's Exhibit I. How are you gonna track your product? That's 15 pages. Hall of Flame got 17 out of 17 points for that. Next, we got Exhibit J, proposed floor plan, 10 pages. Electronic copies of documents for this exhibit may be submitted in PNG format. All right, that one was a beast too. Oh, an animal right there. How do you write out a proposed floor plan for a dispensary when nobody's really willing to give you the information on how you should do that? And there's not really many books written about how to design a floor plan for a dispensary, right? So we did photocopies. We did FOIA requests. We did mad FOIA requests all over the country for winning dispensary applications in other states, Massachusetts, California, New Jersey. But these were medical ones, right? A lot of them were medical because the recreational is still kind of more of a newer type of thing, right? But Colorado. So we got responses from the medical ones. So that's still a different animal because it's medical dispensary. It's not recreational. So it's a lot different. But it gives us a little bit of a template to work off of. So that's how we kind of went about that. By also going with one of our owners who's skilled and practiced in creating and designing plans, designs, and floor plans occasionally. So we had her to help us through that process. Without her, again, we wouldn't have gotten as far. So here we have a thing where it's like the floor plan was basically a layout and square footage of each room, name and function of each room. I'm just gonna list it out. It's crazy. I could list it out, but it's gonna take me a while. So doorways or pathways between rooms, means of ingress and egress, location of restricted access areas, location of cannabis storage areas while the dispensary is open for business, while it's closed for business, location of the sink and refrigerator, if any, location of all safes or vaults that will be used to store cannabis. All right, so it's intense. Where do you get this information? Again, a lot of places and a lot of established Illinois dispensaries at the time did not want to give out a lot of this information. Even if they were incubating you and supposedly helping you through the process, they were very mum is the word on that, So location of each panic button and glass break, location of break room and personal storage lockers, if any, location of each video and camera, any location of each video camera, all that stuff. So yeah, that was wild. We didn't do as good with that one, but we still got points. Really, if we would have gotten one more point here, we would have gotten in two. But if one more point with any of these exhibits, we would have gotten into that lottery. So here we got 9 out of 22 points. All right. So that's the proposed floor plan. Then we have Exhibit K, operating plan. That was basically saying describe at a minimum the day-to-day operations of the proposed dispensing org and a staffing plan for the dispensing organization. Basically, it's like, hey, this is your internal handbook, your employee handbook, and again, a constitution for how you're gonna operate this business. All right, that's a 40-page limit, and for that one we got 6 out of 6 points. We got the total max points for that. We killed that, right? So, but that was a beast too, because you got to talk about healthcare benefits, education benefits, retirement benefits, living wage standards, or labor peace agreements, blah 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 blah. It's a lot, and here I'm toot our horn a little bit because this is the thing. We're gonna get into a little more with social equity, but here is where we say, hey man, we gonna help out. If you work with us, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be alright. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're at like $18 to $19 an hour for bud tenders, and that's just the start. With very good benefits. Like we trying to push push the limits of what we can do. So much so that our profits didn't look as good in our business plan, because hey, we're trying to make sure that the people that work for Hall of Flame are getting paid a very good wage and a competitive wage, and that would allow for them to go back to the community and help the community that they come from to progress and to be a good place to live, right? So that's how we were looking at it. So we were pushing on this operating plan to be very progressive, and it worked out for us. We got 6 out of 6 points. All right. So here we go. We got Exhibit L, plan for community engagement. Right. That's a tiebreaker one. So they didn't even count that one. If they would have counted that one, we would have gotten into lottery too, because we got 2 out of 2 for that. And that's basically our plan for community engagement. Is basically how are we gonna help the community around us as a dispensary, as a business. They, I think a lot of businesses out here, like alcohol, like a beer company or whatever, they probably don't even have to do a plan like this. But for cannabis, we gotta do that, which I think is great. But I feel like too that should be a prerequisite for any business. Yet alone, it shouldn't even be a tiebreaker. It should be part of the actual application, in my opinion. But whatever. So that's where you say, hey man, what are we gonna do for the community? Well, we were gonna do a lot, so we got 2 for 2. All right. And if you have any questions about what we were gonna do, you could, send me a message, post something, and I'll get back to you, because we're gonna do a lot. We're gonna hit everything holistically. We're gonna be beast in that. We're gonna be great. Exhibit M, diversity plan. You know what? If you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you know what that is, right? So provide a narrative of not more than 2,500 words that establishes a goal of diversity in ownership, management, employment, and contracting to ensure that diverse participants and groups are afforded equality of opportunity. Boom. We had that in spades, so we got 5-5, right? Our whole team is basically is made up of Black, Latino, women, LGBTQ. That's our team. Veterans, mental health disability owners, all that. Like we're in there. Right? So 5-5. We got that in spades. So and that's what that means. Is like, how are you gonna make sure you have diversity in ownership? Well, our ownership is diverse, so that answers that. How are you going to manage employment and contracting to ensure that diverse participants and groups are afforded equality of opportunity? Well, I mean, we hire like, if we need to do it, we hire without seeing a person. How about we do that, right? we hire based off of what you submit, and because we could do that now, because our management is pretty much what it's asking for. So now we could just actually we could push the envelope a little bit and really do some very progressive stuff like that. Like, hey, how about we do blind interviews where we don't know how you look, who you are, really, your name or anything. We just go based off of your what you bring to the table. All right. And I'm pretty sure that would create a diverse, very diverse workforce, especially if we already have a diverse management as our backbone, right? So, anyways, let's go on. Exhibit N. So there's a lot of exhibits, right? This is a little complicated. It's looking a little competitive, and it was. Exhibit N, anonymous, knowledge and experience of principal officers. So that's basically resumes, and they had to be redacted resumes. They don't want to see who it is in case whoever's grading it knows you or whatever. So, so this is basically, knowledge and experience. What do you bring to the table? What makes you somebody that can own a cannabis business? This goes back to what I said a little earlier in the video. It's like, hey man, it's hard to get people to do this if they have established careers as accountants, lawyers, financial advisors, what have you, security, all that. It's hard. And then yet you want to get social equity involved. So you're telling me you want to get people that don't have a lot of cash just sitting around to submit applications for a cannabis license because they probably were disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. You're trying to get them in, but then you're saying, hey, can you show us that you have the knowledge and experience to run a dispensary? Well, good luck with that. So that was that, right? And we hit that with 30 points was the max for that. So we needed to hit the 30 points for that to have a chance. And we hit 30-30. 30-30. We hit max. Everybody on our team had the experience and knowledge to do this. Somehow. We well, not somehow. They earned that. But somehow we were able to mesh enough people together. Not even enough. The right people together. And the state said it was the right people because they gave us 30 for 30. So the right people with the knowledge and experience to run this cannabis business. We had it. So, you want any more further questions on that? Because there's a lot. You can send me a message, a note, whatever. Just post something, and we can discuss that. Exhibit O, financials, right? Financials only count for 1 point. We got that 1 point, but it's because here they were a little bit, a little more flexible with what they were requiring. So here they just wanted a statement or a document saying that you, if granted a license, you would be able to afford it. Basically, that's what they. That's what that exhibit is. This is one of the easiest exhibit on this application, really, for a social equity applicant, and finally something easy, right? because they know, because how can you at the same, right? So at the same time they say, hey, but show us your knowledge and experience of principal officers for 30 points, but here's the financials, show us your financials for 1 point, and all you gotta say is, hey, we're gonna afford it if we could get it, which we could say, because here's another thing that Illinois did well here. I'm gonna give them the flowers when it's due. They set aside a program that would provide loans to social equity applicants at low interest rates. So that's how we could say, yes, we can afford this dispensary if we get the license, right? All right. So here we go. Exhibit P. That is the big one. Exhibit P. This could be a whole video, right? But I already have 22 minutes and plus running on this, so Exhibit P could be a whole video, and really, it deserves to be, because this is social equity. This is evidence of status as a social equity applicant. Man, I think I'm gonna stop right here actually, because this one deserves a whole video. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop right here. But I'm gonna let you know before we keep going. The social equity applicant, we got 50 for 50 for that. All right, and the only way you could get that is if you could prove that your team consists of majority ownership, which means 51% of your team owns the company. So 51% of our team is social equity, and that's how we got the 50 points. So so yeah, we'll go into that in the next video. All right, so y'all have a good day, and just, as much as you can, if you feel me, if you're for cannabis or you're against cannabis, this isn't really much about that as much as about, like, hey man, it's legal now, so who do you want to be running this industry in Illinois, and for the time being, because once it goes federal, then it's gangbusters, and then it really doesn't matter who you want to be running this business. It really doesn't really ever matter in the United States, because we free flow. We you know what I'm saying. We are about free markets. So that's a caveat to all this, right? Like, if you want to start a business, you got to be willing to compete here in America, and we were willing to compete based off, because they gave us rules though, right? So they gave us rules. It's not an unlimited license structure. They made it a competitive license structure, so there was rules that you had to follow, and and so yeah, so we try to follow the rules, and before I leave though, and again, I want to say, man, this is not against anybody that wants a license in these social equity lotteries. That you guys earned it, you guys killed it. I love that y'all are in the industry, and I hope you guys get that license, that permanent license, because these licenses are conditional licenses based off of you being able to finish your inspections. Bless you. So, and other stuff, amongst other things. But yeah, man, all the power to true social equity that got into these lotteries, and the ones that won licenses. All the power to you, and all the luck to you. This is about the state, and the state not. This is about this video particularly is a couple things. One thing is an educational thing, and the second thing is about the state not really following the rules that they set up in the first place, and the what's that word? Basically the garbage. The rules were garbage, so they set up these rules, and then the rules were like really obtuse and just not very conducive to providing help to social equity individuals, if that's what the state was trying to do, which they said that's what they wanted to do, right? So that's all. That's what these videos are about, most of all. So we'll get it. All right. So take care. Have a good day. Bye.